Now, ISIL's growing presence in Libya was among the key issues discussed at a meeting between the Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and German's Minister for International Cooperation in Berlin on Tuesday. The two ministers explored how their countries can cooperate better to counter the threat of terror. The German minister praised Egypt's historical and regional role and its capability to support stability in the region, and particularly in Syria and Libya. Shoukry reviewed Egypt's efforts to combat terrorism, the latest developments in the Sinai, and challenges facing Egypt. They also discussed illegal immigration and its impacts on Europe and the region, and importance of cooperation with Egypt to confront such issues. Right, let's get you more on that visit now. CCTV's Yasser Hakim is live for us in Cairo, and Guy Henderson is in Berlin with the very latest on that visit. Guy, Yasser, first, Egypt has been on the forefront pushing for intervention in Libya, especially over the security threat emerging from ISIL's presence. What exactly is the foreign minister hoping to achieve on this trip?
Well, Germany is one of the strongest, if not the strongest economy in Europe, and has an influence in the European Union. And Egypt has been trying to lure European countries into some kind of coalition to attack ISIL in Libya and rid the area of terrorists. Egypt is hoping to work with Germany on this issue, on combating terrorism, as well as we understand there will be a cooperation between both sides on the new measures to secure airports in Egypt, in the several cities, and also to help the both countries in working on the regional issues. You've got Libya, you've got Syria as well, and Iraq, and Egypt is also trying to get European backing in its quest to sort of disallow or not allow the safe haven for wanted terrorists in Egypt, especially members of the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt who have fled to Europe and have a strong presence in Germany. Egypt has managed to get some kind of condemnation from England, from the UK, concerning the Muslim Brotherhood group in the UK, and it's hoping to do the same from the German leadership to try to get some kind of action against the Brotherhood members residing in Germany and, as Egypt claims, are targeting or planning targets in Egypt and operations, terrorist operations in Egypt from Europe.
Well, Guy, though, Germany is hoping to work with Egypt to combat terrorism, but relations between Egypt and Germany haven't always been smooth, have they, though?
Well, no, they haven't. And in the build-up to the state visit of Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in June 2015, there was some controversy around him even attending amongst, reportedly, quite senior officials within the German government. Now, that visit went ahead in June, but it didn't stop the German Chancellor Angela Merkel from expressing some pretty frank criticism of the Egyptian judicial system, for example, and civil liberties issues under the Egyptian government. But by the same token, Germany is one of a number of Western countries who have made a decision that Egypt must be engaged with, that it is a relatively stable country in a region that is suffering from increasing levels of instability. That poses potentially a direct threat to European security. So for that reason, the two countries are continuing to engage. It'll just be interesting to see at the press conference later this afternoon whether or not that frank expression of differences between the two is maintained, or whether there's a change in tone.
Whether there'll be a change of tone. Yasser, Egypt, though, under President el-Sisi, has been on a campaign to build fresh relations beyond its traditional allies. What would Egypt, though, be offering in a diplomatic trade-off? Is there a common ground here?
Yes, like Guy has said, there has been criticism of the internal situation in Egypt. What the foreign minister is trying to say, that the new assembly has been elected, it's now, there's a whole system. But also there are more important issues that both countries should work on, aside from the criticism that has happened. And some Western countries have opted to push aside the differences to try to work together on a big issue, which is terrorism. And Egypt, like Guy has said, also has a strong stability. The biggest army in the region now is the Egyptian army, after the Syrian and Iraqi armies have been dispersed and weakened lately. So the only existing army with strong presence and well equipped is the Egyptian army, capable of combating terrorism. Egypt also can have influence on stopping illegal migration, and illegal migration is not just about migrants, it's about terrorists trying to infiltrate within the migrants into Europe, and Egypt can play a role in reducing this threat. Also, Egypt has now been elected as the chairman of the Anti-Terrorism Committee at the UN Security Council, so it can also have a role in mediating efforts to try to combat terrorism. So there are some issues to work on, and obviously Germany has signed an $11 billion investment deal in electricity this year in 2015 with Egypt. And what experts are saying is that Germany wants to make sure that the German investments are safe in Egypt. It's not small investment. In one sector only, electricity is $11 billion. And they want to ensure, the Germans, that this investment will go ahead without any complications or security threats. So there are issues to work on for both countries.
Guy, what does Germany, though, intend to bring on the table, or what does it bring to the table on matters of security, though, because terrorism is high on the agenda? It is known to be rather reluctant, unlike France or Britain, to involve itself in conflict in places like Libya.
Well, Libya is a particularly good example, because in 2011 it voted against the UN resolution which essentially authorised airstrikes over Libya. But particularly through the course of this year, there are many analysts here who believe that reluctant foreign policy is changing quite rapidly. There have, for example, been a small number of German troops in northern Iraq training Peshmerga fighters for some time in the battle against ISIS. Just 4 days ago, German tornadoes began to operate over the skies in Syria in a supporting role. And just on Wednesday, in the last few hours, the German government has decided to extend its military mission, assisting French forces in Mali as well. And then directly back to Libya, there are also reports in the German news outlet Spiegel of German troops potentially training Libyan forces, but in Tunisia rather than in Libya, because of the ongoing security situation in Libya itself. Europe is facing a major security threat at the moment from terrorism, from the number of unstable states around its borders. It's also trying to grapple with a potentially worsening refugee crisis, and for that reason there's many people here who feel that Germany is right to take a more assertive role in places like Libya.
All right, Guy Henderson for us in Berlin, and Yasser Hakim in Cairo. To you both, thank you.